My gosh.
Welcome to the 5-Pack, where we talk about the 5 things that matter, 5 things that will matter, and a daily pack rip. Here is your host, Kyle Elfrink.
Yes, we are back. We are excited, and we are here to help. We are great to be back in this seat. Wonderful to be talking to you, the BSN subscribers and followers. Hope you didn't miss me. I needed a little time off. I will tell you this. I was out most of last week on a little bit of a family vacation. I actually missed during the week kind of following and knowing what I should care about. Because when you are on vacation, you kind of follow the sports world. You kind of catch the big moments like, Stanley Cup playoff games or maybe an NBA Finals game, maybe a guy getting released in the NFL. You catch those things, but you don't get the whole picture. You're busy. You're running from museum to train, from aquarium to skyscraper. You're everywhere. You sometimes miss out on what's happening in the sports world. And I thought to myself, that is why we have the 5-Pack. That is why we're here, to give you the 5 things that matter at this very moment, 5 things you may have missed yesterday. Additionally, get you set for tonight, 5 things that will matter to you, the sports fan. And then we have a little fun at the end of the show. We got a pack rip, and I thought there was only one way to return to action today. You got to return with 1990 Fleer, our old standby. I never run out of these packs. They just keep coming. I don't know where they're coming from, but they're always arriving at my door. More packs of 1990 Fleer. Now, we haven't actually done a pack in 2 or 3 weeks, so it's been a while for 1990 Fleer, but we will break the drought coming up later today on the 5-Pack. Do want to thank our producer, Heather Klein. Good to be back in her qualified and safe hands as we roll through the hour here. We come at you each and every day, 12 o'clock Eastern. And as I said, it's pretty simple. 5 things that matter, 5 things that will matter, and a pack break. That's how we do it for 60 minutes. Okay, let's get rolling on this Monday as we begin a brand new week. And it doesn't really matter when you have joined us this year on the 5-Pack. If we've ever... We don't do it often, but if we ever talk about the Cleveland Guardians, we've mostly complained about the Cleveland Guardians. They can't score. Where is the offense? My gosh, the AL Central is there for the taking, but the Guardians, who probably should be at the top, can't take advantage of it. Well, as we get things rolling in June, guess who's starting to come alive? Guess who is starting to hit the baseball? Guess who is starting to make up some ground in the AL Central? It is indeed those Cleveland Guardians. Yesterday, taking on Houston, the offense was not great. It was good enough. The pitching was very good. And lo and behold, the Guardians got a win against the defending champion Astros.
A swing and a drive to deep right center. Away, back, gone! Andres Jimenez with home run number 4. A laser that cleared the 9-foot wall in right center.
Here's a long fly ball. Deep center field. Goodbye, Josh Bell with his 5th home run of the year. 3-0 Guardians, their 2nd home run of the afternoon. 2-strike pitch. Book it. Emmanuel Clase finishes off the Guardians' 6th shutout victory of the year. They have won 6 out of their last 8, and they go to 31-34 on the year as they head west.
We got some life there in Cleveland, right? Those highlights showed a little life. I'll tell you who needs life. You saw the home runs there by Jimenez and Bell. Those 2 players are really critical if Cleveland's going to figure this out. Both those guys, Bell and Jimenez, have been fairly big disappointments. Jimenez was an all-star last year. He has fallen way off the pace. So seeing him hit the home run yesterday was critical. And Josh Bell was the big free agent signee this offseason. He was expected to add some oomph. I mean, the last couple of years, Cleveland just has no power. They just don't. So Josh Bell was brought in with 25 home run potential. Hasn't really done it. So seeing both those guys yesterday get the home runs was important. Another thing happening for Cleveland right now is Jose Ramirez. Ramirez has not been great this year. He's been good. He's still the best hitter on Cleveland, but he's been really quiet. Like, he's an MVP level hitter who hasn't been that good this season. Well, in the last 5 games, here's what Jose Ramirez has done. 10 hits, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 7 runs scored. That's in the last 5 games. Now, you heard the highlights there, courtesy of Bally Sports, and they mentioned winners of 6 of 8. Additionally, 31 and 34. Now, normally you think 31 and 34, not so good. You know what? If you're in the Central, AL or NL, you're still good. Cleveland is 3 games under 500, yet they are only a game and a half out of the top spot in the AL Central. Now, for those who like to play the futures game, right now the Cleveland Guardians plus 240 to win the AL Central. Team ahead of them is Minnesota. And I picked the Twins before the season. But I got to say, they are too heavy of a favorite right now. They're minus 185. And I say too heavy because Cleveland has not played well for 2 months. That was the opportunity for Minnesota to really build a gap between them and the Guardians. But they didn't. They failed. They were just good enough. And now Cleveland's got a little momentum. Now, they're not playing tonight. They got a road trip out west. 3 in San Diego, 3 in Arizona. That'll begin on Tuesday. But this Guardians team still has the talent. They just haven't been hitting. Pitching's been fine, but they haven't hit. If they can continue this hitting, and I looked at the numbers today in this 8-game stretch, 6 wins, 8 games. They have averaged in those 8 games 5.5 runs scored, which, is not sustainable over 160 games, 5.5. So, you expect that. You go 6-2, you score some runs. But to compare the dramatic turnaround in those 8 games, 5.5 runs, before that, the previous 57 games, a vast majority of the season, the Cleveland Guardians were averaging 3.6. That's pitiful. There's no way you're making the playoffs scoring 3.6 a game. So, hey, 5.5, I don't expect that to continue for Cleveland, but you got to stay in that 4.6 to 4.8 range. Then you may have a divisional winner on your hand with the Guardians. 5-0 yesterday. Shane Bieber doing the pitching and Bell and Jimenez doing the hitting in that win for Cleveland. Let us move to item number 2 on what does matter today. We always like to spotlight youth, and we like to spotlight success. We like to spotlight big moments. Well, yesterday, we got that holy trinity of things occurring. 1 in Baltimore and 1 in Colorado, a couple of young third basemen with absolute moonshots on Sunday afternoon.
Omaha. Oh, boy. 3-2 Gunner. High in the air to right field. Look out below. Oh, what a big blast. This is what you've been waiting for, folks. This is Gunnar Henderson.
Oh, 113. I think that flash was really quick, but I thought it said, did that say 460 some feet?
It said 462 feet.
So.
That is a Utah Street shocker.
Gone indoors. This ball high and deep right field. Take a good look. You will see it below. Time the flight of Austin. Nolan Jones has won it.
Nolan Jones, walk-off home run for the Colorado Rockies. Wasn't a walk-off for Gunnar Henderson, but these 2 young third basemen, absolute bombs. Unfortunately, I don't know if you get the vibe there with the Nolan Jones highlight. I looked, but no one really got excited. That home run by Nolan Jones, which was a walk-off home run, by the way, traveled an estimated 472 feet. Let me put that in perspective. We have never measured in the StatCast era, which goes back to 2015, we have never measured a walk-off home run that has traveled so far as what Nolan Jones did there. 472 feet. You know, an amazing thing with Nolan Jones? That is not the longest home run he hit in the last week. Nolan Jones, like 4 days ago, hit a ball. Let me look this up. 483. Now, I get it. Thin air, ball travels, all that. But 2 home runs within like 5 days of each other. One for 482, one for 473. That's some serious strength there, sitting in your batter's box. Nolan Jones off to a good start in his first season with Colorado. He actually came over from Cleveland. Right now, he has played 15 games. He's hitting 360, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 7 runs scored. Now, he, just like Gunnar Henderson, who we're going to talk about here in a bit, a lot of swing and miss. So Nolan Jones looking good. It's 15 games. But in those 15 games, he got 17 strikeouts. In fact, I think he has, 17 strikeouts, 18 hits for Nolan Jones. If you are looking at Rookie of the Year odds, this one may surprise you. If you go over to DraftKings, there's a list of like literally 25 dudes for National League Rookie of the Year. You will not see the name Nolan Jones on that list. Now, it's 15 games, but a rookie in Denver who gets to play every day should be on the list. He absolutely should be on the list. Now, Gunnar Henderson of Baltimore is on the list. He came into the season as the favorite for AL Rookie of the Year. Has not played very well, but has been very, very hot over the last 2 weeks or so. Now, current odds for AL Rookie of the Year have Gunnar Henderson sitting at plus 800. Yoshida of Boston is the lead pick. Josh Young with Texas and Hunter Brown. Those 2 guys are 1, 2, 3. Gunnar Henderson is number 4. Now, I mentioned the last 2 weeks. If you go back to May 29th, why am I choosing May 29th? On that day, Gunnar Henderson, rookie third baseman / shortstop for the Orioles, fell under the Mendoza line. He was hitting under 200. And I do recall the obituaries being written for Gunnar Henderson, like, oh man, if you're in a 12-team fantasy league, it's time to just move on. It's not going to work for it. Hope he didn't pay attention to those experts, right? Reminder, believe in the talent. You never just dump rookies who are playing every day. Don't do that. With the pedigree of Gunnar Henderson, since May 29th, here's what he's done. 32 at-bats. He has gone 13 for 32. He has raised his season batting average by 37 points. He's got 4 home runs. He's got 10 RBIs. He's got 7 runs scored. He's even thrown in a couple of stolen bases. I hope you didn't listen to the naysayers on Gunnar Henderson. It's still not great, but he's playing every damn day. Every single day. You don't, when a guy flies through the minors, when a guy was a top, 20 pick overall, like he's been ticketed for Major League Baseball success, you don't give up on him after 2 months. There's way too much positive with Gunnar Henderson. So hopefully you've been able to enjoy these last 2 weeks. I know the Orioles and their fan base is. By the way, that home run by Gunnar Henderson, 462 feet, I think. The ball bounced and it hit the warehouse, which you might think, oh, who cares? Balls bounce it. No, they don't. Balls don't get to that warehouse. I think Ken Griffey Jr. did it at the home run derby way back in the mid-90s, and a couple of other left-handed hitters, one of them being Henry Rodriguez. I think Santander is the other one. Those are the only guys who've made it to the wall, and so Gunnar Henderson just came short of hitting that wall. We'll give him the bank shot on that home run yesterday. Big win by the Orioles against the Royals. We will have more on the Royals coming up later in the 5-pack. Let's move to item number 3 on what does matter. Let's see. We had Cleveland get a win. We had big home runs by Henderson and Nolan Jones. Let's celebrate some long-term, career-spanning success, shall we? Let's go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for the big moment on Sunday, courtesy of Andrew McCutchen.
There it is, 2000. A milestone moment for a Pittsburgh icon back home.
Very nice moment in Pittsburgh. Pirates won as well on Sunday against the scuffling New York Mets. Andrew McCutchen, not a lifelong Pirate, but he will always be associated with Pittsburgh. I don't think when people think of Andrew McCutchen, they will think of his days with the Yankees, his days with the Giants, even his time with the Phillies. He's going to be a Pirate. And I will say it's been great this year to see him back with Pittsburgh. Not only is the team having success, but McCutchen has probably been the best or second best hitter on that whole team. It hasn't been a huge year for McCutchen, but he does have an OPS over 800. He hasn't been in that territory in like 3 or 4 years. Here's a good bit of trivia for you. Andrew McCutchen is now the 291st player in the history of baseball to get to 2,000 hits. But here's the trivia. He is the 5th active player to be sitting at 2,000 hits. Now, who are the other 4 guys? I would bet if you're a baseball psycho, you could probably name 3 of the 4. That would be Miggy Cabrera, Joey Votto, and Nelson Cruz. But it's that 4th guy, or 5th guy, if you will. Who's that other active player with at least 2,000 hits? Again, we got McCutchen, Votto, Nelly Cruz, Miguel Cabrera, who's over 3,000. The 5th guy, active major leaguer, over 2,000 hits. And I would not get this. And I think this happened earlier this season. It is Elvis Andrus of the Chicago White Sox. Huh? What? Now, we're about to get a 10th player, an active major leaguer, onto that 2,000 hit list. Freddie Freeman is only 10 hits shy of 2,000. I think Jose Altuve is around 50 shy of 2,000. So congratulations to Andrew McCutchen getting that hit yesterday. Here's the other thing with the Pirates. They're totally in this thing. Now, if you caught the show, what was it, 3-4 weeks ago, they finally fell under 500. We made mention of it here on the 5-pack. Since that point, they haven't played great baseball. But again, the Central, that is the key. Right now, the Pittsburgh Pirates are on top of the NL Central. They got a game lead on the Milwaukee Brewers. Check out the odds, though. Look at this. Pittsburgh, you can still today over at the DraftKings Sportsbook, today, you can get Pittsburgh at plus 475 to win the NL Central. Milwaukee is minus 135. St. Louis is ahead of Pittsburgh at plus 425. Pirates are off today. They will open a series at Wrigley on Tuesday night. Let's go to item number 4. We see a milestone hit there of Andrew McCutchen. Let's switch sports. Let's switch continents. Let's go over to France and show you a milestone title on the clay in Paris.
Djokovic. 3 manches à 0. 7-6. 6-3. 7-5.
Don't look to me for the translation into English. I think they were just recapping the 3-set victory by Novak Djokovic, winning the French Open, which this is why, well, it's always important when you win a Grand Slam title, but that is now 23 Grand Slam titles for Novak Djokovic. That breaks a tie with Rafael Nadal. Now, Nadal, who owns Paris, I mean, Rafael Nadal has won the French Open 14 times. He did not participate in this year's event. In fact, he is out for the year. He's hoping to come back next year and that will probably be Nadal's final season, 2024. But Djokovic, who now has 23 Grand Slam titles, which is one better than Rafael Nadal, it's the all-time men's record holder for Grand Slam championships. He is not really at the finish line. Like right now, he is still number 3 in the world. Gets that victory against Casper Ruud yesterday. Djokovic, by the way, is only one behind the all-time leader, Margaret Court, who is an Australian player. She has 24 Grand Slam titles. Now, we should note, with Margaret Court, she was like really strong in the 50s and 60s, and she like owned the Australian Open. Not many people traveled to Australia in the 50s and 60s for that Grand Slam. So Margaret Court, it was her home court, and competition wasn't really coming to her. Now, she still won 24 titles, and she won in other places besides Australia. But for Djokovic, this is all over the place. Like Wimbledon, French Open, U.S. Open, Australian Open, 23 titles. He has spread them out. That was his 3rd French Open title. Now, up next is Wimbledon. I was looking at the odds today. Wimbledon begins on July 3rd, obviously up in England. Djokovic is minus 125 to win that tournament. Minus 125. He's a huge favorite. So that would be title 24 for Novak. And then he would try to set the all-time mark, maybe at the U.S. Open, coming up in September, there in Flushing, New York. So we'll see. But a big win yesterday. Not often that we recap something that happened more than 24 hours ago. But hey, it happened Sunday morning. We're here to recap it on a Monday. Our 5th and final item, we go from baseball to tennis to golf. Didn't expect to be talking about this morning. If you'd asked me yesterday, what's going to be your 5th thing that will matter? I wouldn't have said the RBC Canadian Open on the PGA Tour. But hey, circumstances have forced it into the top 5 today. What were the circumstances? The circumstances were this: Canadian Open, rain delay, playoff. Can you say playoff? And the opportunity for a Canadian golfer to win the Canadian Open. That had not happened since way back in the 50s. It's been like almost 70 years since a Canadian PGA player had won the Canadian Open. Nick Taylor gets the victory, and he did it in excellent fashion. How about on the 4th playoff hole, draining a putt from over 70 feet away?
Good pace. Are you serious? Oh my goodness! Glorious and free! We're storming the 18th green now. They just tackled Adam Hadwin, by the way, who was trying to approach his friend. Security did, not knowing that's exactly who it was. Wow. But Canada has a conquering hero.
It's not the Masters, not the U.S. Open, but hey, for a Canadian to win that event means something. 70 years without a Canadian winning that event. So congratulations to Nick Taylor, topping Tommy Fleetwood in the playoff there. Now, you heard Jim Nantz of CBS with the call there, mentioning that during the celebration, a security guard tackled one of Nick Taylor's friends, who is a fellow golfer, a fellow Canadian. That is Adam Hadwin in the green jacket there. And you see the celebration in the background, and you see the security tackling Adam Hadwin. Now, there is no one to blame here, and Hadwin is fine, and nobody's calling for the security. This was an exciting moment. A guy comes out spraying champagne, dressed like a fan. The security guy's doing his job. He doesn't know who's a pro golfer and who isn't. But it's almost it's almost as if this security tackle has won the day, if you will, when we talk about the storyline. You see this all the time in a big moment golf. People come out, they celebrate, they congratulate. You don't see security tackling a fellow PGA Tour member very often, but we got to see it yesterday. He's fine. Don't worry. And hey, security doing their job. I have been to so many events where there is so much security, and yet still people will get on stage or do something silly. It's like, why are we paying thousands of dollars? Your only job is to stop this person. And somehow they're leaping onto a stage. What? You've got 10 dudes there to keep them from getting on. But it happens. That guy doing his job yesterday at the Canadian Open. By the way, this week is U.S. Open week. The tour is headed out to L.A., so that'll be fun this week. Favors there, Scotty Scheffler plus 700. John Rahm is plus 1,000. Brooks Koepka is plus 1,100. So those are your odds going into the week. And honestly, the PGA needed anything to distract from that news of last week with the merger with LIV and the merger with the Saudi Public Investment Fund. I didn't get to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it here, but the PGA kind of needed that moment yesterday, and they need the U.S. Open this week to kind of distract, if nothing else, from that kind of crazy news. Okay, those are the 5 things that do matter on this Monday. When we return right here on the 5-Pack on Better Sports Network, I will give you 5 things that will matter as we go into your Monday night. Stick around for that. First, though, let's get you a bit of a preview on a Monday night because we do have an NBA Finals game tonight. Here's our man, Ricky Props, giving his picks for the Nuggets and the Heat tonight.
It's Rick Kamla, a.k.a. Ricky Props for Better Sports Network. Let's go to the wood, Denver style, with Nikola Jokic over 9.5 dimes, minus 135. Over this number in 9 of the last 12. Back down to 9.5 after 10.5 in Game 4. Capitalize. Nikola Jokic, triple-double. Yes. Plus 115. Triple-double in 7 of the last 10. 70% chance here, guys. He needs 14 assists to average a triple-double for the playoffs, and I think he's going to go for it. Michael Porter Jr. over 10.5 points. I'm feeling him today, okay? Minus 125. He played better in Game 4. Got 11 points in 23 minutes. Here comes the slump buster now that all the pressure is off. And then Jamal Murray over 25.5 points, minus 105. Finals flow, 26, 18, 34, 15. He spikes back up in Game 5 over this number in 10 of the last 15. Be sure to check out the comments below for a special offer from our friends at Fantasy Alarm.
Welcome back to the 5-Pack. Next up, the 5 things that will matter. Here's Kyle Elfrink.
Welcome back in here on BSN. We will be getting to our 5 things that will matter. Also down the road, a little 1990 Fleer baseball action. Within those 5 things that will matter, sneak in a little football because this week for many teams in the NFL, it is a mandatory minicamp week. So we'll be talking about that here momentarily. Tomorrow, do want to point out that we are helping to cover the FSGA Expert Fantasy Football Draft. Now, there will be live coverage with our very own Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, Britt Flynn, all of them with Fantasy Alarm. They're going to have live coverage over on our friends, SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, but you can follow the entire draft. This is a big event in the fantasy football industry. They do it every summer at the FSGA get-together. Tomorrow, 3 to 5 o'clock Eastern. You can follow on Twitter at Better Network, at Fantasy Alarm. We'll have videos, we'll have clips, we'll have thoughts on the draft. So that's all day tomorrow. FSGA is up and running throughout the early days of this week. Howard, Andrew, and Brett, they're going to have coverage on SiriusXM, and of course, we'll be following on Twitter. Do want to mention that right now, you can go to SiriusXM.us/Fantasy Alarm 2023. That is SiriusXM.us/Fantasy Alarm 2023. Why should you go there? How about a 3-month free trial? 3 months free. Anything you want right there. Check it out, SiriusXM. So you can also tune in to tomorrow's event. Okay, let's get to our 5 things that will matter as we go into our Monday afternoon and Monday night. And we will start with what we just heard our buddy Ricky Props talking about. It is Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight. ABC will have the coverage 8:30 Eastern. We could see some history tonight. Denver Nuggets have been a part of the NBA since way back in 1976. That is longer than I have been on this earth. The Nuggets have been in the NBA. Tonight, they have a chance at wrapping up their first ever NBA Finals championship ever. They're up 3-1. They're back home taking on the Miami Heat. Yes, they have Nikola Jokic. That really, really helps. But as their head coach Michael Malone reminds us, they also have Jamal Murray, and that really, really, really helps.
Long said that Jamal is not just a scorer, and that's been my challenge to him. And that should be an affront to him that people just look at him as a scorer, because ever since he became my starting point guard, he is charged with the responsibility of running his team, making every one of his teammates better, on top of being an aggressive scorer looking for his shot, on top of being a rebounder at his size and physicality, as well as being an engaged defender. So the challenge has always been for you to be an all-star, for you to be an all-NBA player, and for you to be the guy that is, along with Nikola, putting this team on your back. It requires commitment and effort all across the board.
It's hard to stand out with Nikola Jokic, Mr. Triple-Double. But Murray's doing a good job. He's got 92 points in these 4 games. But what is most notable, and you heard Michael Malone talking about it, there are 42 assists in the 4 games. And in Game 4, which the Nuggets again won by double digits, every win they've had in this series has been by double digits, Murray had 12 dimes to 0 assists. 12 to 0. Or excuse me, turnovers. Did I say assists? 12 dimes to 0 turnovers. Take that any day of the week. He's playing over 42 minutes a game in this NBA Finals. So Jamal Murray looking good. Nuggets are looking good. On the other side, not so good for the Miami Heat, but Jimmy Butler, their star, admits and claims and swears that everybody still has confidence in that Heat locker room.
It is at an all-time high just because it always has been all year. It always will be. The belief that we have in one another, it stems from the amount of time that we spend with one another and how we actually enjoy being around one another. And we know what each other is capable of. So we didn't come this far to stop playing now, no matter what the odds are, the analytics. When we get out there, we just got to compete. We got to win one, and then we got to win another one, and then we got to win another one.
My producer, Heather Klein, just texted me. He doesn't seem as confident as he has throughout the rest of the playoffs. She's totally right. Because if you follow Jimmy Butler at his press conferences, he's exuded confidence. There I didn't see an exuding of confidence. Did you? Now, if you believe in Butler, if you believe in the Heat, you can get in on that. Over at the DraftKings Sportsbook right now, if you think the Heat can somehow, some way come back from a 3-1 deficit, plus 2,000. So there you go. Have crazier things happen? Yeah, they have. Plus 2,000. He would have to win on the road at Denver tonight, come back home, and win later in the week, and then go to Denver for Game 7 to pull that off. Tonight, the Nuggets are favored by 9 for this home game. And again, 8:30 Eastern on ABC. No doubt tomorrow. Could be talking about Miami taking it back to South Florida. Or we may be talking about a first ever NBA title for the Denver Nuggets. Speaking of tomorrow, but this also has to do with tonight. New York Giants out of the NFL. They, I think it's about 2/3 of the NFL teams will begin their mandatory minicamp tomorrow. Now, we got word yesterday during Saquon Barkley's charity event. I think he was doing some kind of football, bring in the kids. Let's teach them how to play football. He and his teammates, all this stuff. Saquon met up with the media and said, hey, let's talk. Let's talk. Actually, the media probably went up to Saquon and said, please talk to us. Please talk to us, Saquon. They wanted to talk to Saquon Barkley because as of this very moment, the Giants running back who had a spectacular year last year, not his best year, but his second best year by a long mile, has yet to sign his franchise tag. You might remember back in March, there was all this consternation about, okay, can the Giants keep both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley? Only one guy can get the franchise tag. The other guy probably gets a long-term contract. And they took it down to the wire. And eventually Daniel Jones got the huge extension, big money to be the quarterback of the Giants. Saquon Barkley had to settle for the franchise tag, which he has no say in. The team says, you get our franchise tag and you'll get $10 million to play 1 year of football. And then after that, we may franchise tag you again. We may send you off into free agency. Who knows? Now, Saquon Barkley has not signed this franchise tag as of yet. And the reason why is he wants a long-term contract. He's trying to do something that running backs have a real challenge of doing. It's signing long-term contracts and getting a lot of money. I mean, we just saw last week Dalvin Cook. We talked about this on the 5-pack. Dalvin Cook, still a good running back. Dalvin Cook, what was it, 2 years ago? Signed a huge extension. Now Dalvin Cook's looking for a job because running backs are considered very transitory. You don't need to invest in a guy. None of them last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I mean, it doesn't happen. Other positions they can, but not at running back. So Saquon Barkley is fighting a flood of how the NFL does business. They don't give big contract to NFL running backs. So the question now becomes, Saquon Barkley, you going to be at the mandatory mini camp this week? You going to sign a big contract? You going to sign your franchise tag? Are you going to hold out come training camp? Here's what Saquon said yesterday at his football camp.
It's done by July 17th.
I don't know, really. I don't know.
Where are the states of negotiations now? Are you talking? Are they open to talking right now, or are you kind of just in a holding pattern?
I think they're open to talking. I think I'm open to talking. But I think at the end of the day, when you really break it down and look at it as a whole, it's no rush. It's no rush. We still have time. There's still time on the table to get to July 17th. July 17th is not tomorrow. It's not in a week. We still have time, and that's how I look at it. I guess maybe that's like the naive way to look at it, and I could be completely wrong. But for me, that's how I look at it, and I trust my team, and hopefully I trust in the Giants that we can get something done.
It's mentioned that July 17th date. That is, admittedly, 4.5, 5 weeks away. So there is a lot of time. Missing a mandatory minicamp, not hugely important. I mean, they're not going to be tackling at all. This is really just making sure nobody has gained 50 pounds, making sure if you got a new offense, you're ready to go. I will say, though, the Giants, when they give that franchise tag, the assumption was, okay, Saquon will sign it. He hasn't, which is totally his prerogative. The question becomes that July 17th date, because, again, that's the start of training camp. If you don't have Saquon Barkley, you have Matt Breida as your backup running back. You have some dude named Eric Gray as the backup to Matt Breida. Matt Breida, we know you're going to need a backup for him. So Saquon Barkley's got a little leverage here. Like, the Giants are built to win now. Now is when they're built to win. So we'll see how things work out. Saquon, I don't know if he gets the big deal. I really don't, because, again, every NFL team doesn't want to do this. They don't. And the NFL can always look at Saquon Barkley and say, we'll wait for you. We're not giving you 5 years and $100 million. That ain't happening. And the problem with any of these running backs is they see what their top quarterbacks make. They see what top wide receivers make, even what top tight ends and offensive tackles and cornerbacks. And shockingly, running backs aren't in that world. And it's all because they don't last. The other positions can last. Running backs don't. And so no one is willing to give these guys huge deals. And even if they are, it's almost with the realization that 2-3 years from now, you may be looking for a job. I mean, now a running back will still take that because 2 years or 3 years of $13 million a season is a lot better than playing 1 year under the franchise tag at $10 million. If Saquon Barkley, who's had injuries before, if he goes out on the franchise tag and has another injury, his market's nil. His market is shot. He's not making $10 million in a year for his next contract. So that is the whole push and pull here that we've got with running backs, that we have with Barkley, that we have with the Giants, and we'll see how it works out. But again, that mandatory minicamp opens up tomorrow. Saquon Barkley not expected to be there for the New York Giants. Let's go to item number 3 on what will matter. And I will say this is perhaps the most shocking item that we have ever had in the 5 things that will matter. I want everybody to calm down, put your pencil down, listen carefully. Here's what we got. The Oakland Athletics have a chance tonight to win a 6th straight game. That's 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins by the A's, 4 wins, 5. They've won 5 in a row. The Oakland A's have won 5 in a row. Even with this 5-game winning streak, the record 17-50. For the Oakland A's. But hey, they're going for 6 in a row. Look at yesterday. Let's take a view at yesterday where the Oakland A's finished a 3-game road sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Three-two. Drive to right field. Anderson going back, looks up, and it is gone! A 3-run homer for Brown, and the A's take the lead 3-2. Oh, wasn't it bad for Brownie?
Well, you know, I can appreciate.
Rooker with a drive to deep left, just looking up as Perkins, and it is gone. And it's 4-2 A's. What a shot from Rooker.
And like Drizzy, the A's are going back to back.
That was quite a blast from Rooker, no question off the bat.
400 with runners in scoring position.
1-0. Hit fair inside third and down the line. In to score is Perez. Kemp around third. He'll score. It's a double for Ruiz, and it's 7-3 Oakland. He comes through once again. RBIs 27 and 28. It's a 4-run lead.
Oh, man. NBC Sports Bay Area loving the action up in Wisconsin yesterday. Like I said, a 3-game sweep of the Brewers. How do you think it feels to be the Brewers today? Before that, they'd won 2 on the road against Pittsburgh. Now, as they go for win number 6 in a row, tonight, guess who is coming to Oakland? The Tampa Bay Rays are arriving in Oakland. 9:40 tonight. If you'd like to see the worst in baseball going against the best in baseball, you can do it. 9:40 tonight. Zach Eflin pitching for Tampa. James Kaprielian going for the A's. By the way, Vegas not buying what the A's are selling as they go for their 6th straight win. The A's are plus 220 to get the win tonight. Plus 220. Tomorrow, by the way, and we'll touch on this during the show, Oakland out there in the Bay Area are having what they're terming a reverse boycott at the stadium. Remember, they're trying to move to Vegas. I think Vegas is meeting today in a special session. The money that Oakland thought they were going to get to move to Vegas, it's not really there yet. It's not been approved yet. So this situation not over. But tomorrow in Oakland, the reverse boycott is coming. I'll tell you more about that on Tuesday's show. Let's move to item number 4 of what will matter. And I thought this was an excellent follow-up to talking about the Oakland A's, because you ask anybody, hey, who's the worst team in baseball? What are they going to say? The Oakland A's, and they are. They're 17-30. But tonight we have a team that is slowly catching up or falling back to the Oakland A's. Tonight in Kansas City, Cincinnati's taking on Kansas City. Now, I want to start with the Reds. The Reds have some juice right now. There's some excitement with the Reds. They come into Kansas City looking pretty good. They've got Ellie De La Cruz. He's like the talk of baseball. He had a great weekend in St. Louis. They got Matt McClain. They got the pitcher Andrew Abbott, who hasn't given up a run in 11 2/3 innings. They're 31-35. De La Cruz has a 640 BABIP. I mean, the Reds are exciting. Like, last couple of years, rebuild. Now the youth is arriving, and they're competitive. It's good. Well, tonight the Reds are in Kansas City. And it ain't good in Kansas City. It ain't good at all in Kansas City. In fact, I mentioned the the A's are 17-30. The Kansas City Royals enter tonight at 18-47. 18-47 for the Kansas City Royals. They ain't much better than the A's. And you know what? They were supposed to be in the spot the Reds are. This year was supposed to be that, the Royals are going to win 85 games. But the Royals can maybe sniff 500. Instead, they enter tonight 29 games under 500. They're about to fall below the A's. Like everybody's talking about history and how bad the A's have been. Kansas City's right there. And you see Bobby Witt Jr. here. The big three for the Royals, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, MJ Melendez. I don't want to say they've been awful, but all three of them have been pretty damn ordinary. Nothing special. So Kansas City, the embarrassment of the A's catching you. That's realistic. And now you have Cincinnati coming to town tonight. And the Reds, it looks like they're turning the corner. Like their rebuild's, progressing. The Royals, it's like 4 years of nothing. Like the Royals have no pitching. Zero pitching. Check this out. Jordan Lyles is 0-10 with a 6.84 ERA. 0-10. Now, I say all of this, and guess what Vegas is telling me tonight? Kansas City is favored to win. They are. 8-10 first pitch. Zach Greinke going for Kansas City. Luke Weaver is going for Cincinnati. Kansas City minus 120 to get their 19th win of the season. Cincinnati is plus 120. Speaking of baseball, our fifth and final item that will matter. We're trying to set up the College World Series. I mentioned that this weekend, the U.S. Open begins in the PGA. Also this weekend, up in Omaha, Nebraska, at that beautiful stadium, Rosenblatt Stadium, the College World Series will begin. That starts up on Friday. This is one event I really want to go to that I've never been able to, because it's like a week and a half of just crazy baseball, awesome baseball. 8 teams will come to Omaha, Nebraska, double elimination tournament. Now 6 teams have already qualified. Already, LSU, Virginia, Oral Roberts' first ever trip to Omaha, TCU, Florida, and Wake Forest. That is 6 of the 8 teams. Tonight, we will get teams number 7 and number 8 into this tournament. We got Texas and Stanford. They get going at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. The winner advances to Omaha. That game, by the way, will be on ESPN, 8 o'clock Eastern. Stanford a slight favorite there at minus 125. And then a little before that game at 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2, it will be Tennessee, who is a heavy, heavy favorite against Southern Miss. They will be facing off. So the winner of these 2 games, it's winner take all, or winner goes to Omaha, I guess. You got Tennessee and Southern Miss. You have Texas and Stanford. The winner advances to Omaha. By the way, title odds right now, Wake Forest is considered the favorite, plus 300. LSU is plus 380. Virginia plus 425, and Florida is plus 25. You look at those odds and you hear those numbers. That is at least 4 of these 8 teams with a good shot of winning this thing. Because usually you'll see 1 or 2 teams way ahead in the odds. We've got at least 4, Wake Forest, LSU, Virginia, and Florida, with strong odds to walk away with the title. And you throw Tennessee in here, as long as they can beat Southern Miss, they're probably close to those other 4 teams. So we'll see. Tonight, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, ESPN2 with that first game, and then ESPN with the second game as we get you set for the College World Series. Okay, final break for us. Pack Rip coming your way. But first, Corey Parson talking Chris Paul and free agency for the guard.
The NBA offseason is quickly approaching. It means the momentum is heating up. Chris Paul is expected to either be released or traded by the Phoenix Suns, ending his 3-year run out there in the Valley of the Sun. Now, with that being said, you got some NBA fan bases saying, hey, Chris Paul is that piece that we need to take us over the top. I would tell you that fan base, relax. Chris Paul in his 18 NBA seasons has never won an NBA championship. As a matter of fact, I can tell you how it's going to go. If your team signs Chris Paul this offseason, they'll probably be in the conference semifinals, and Chris Paul will probably be on the bench. See, Chris Paul at 18 years in is not going to be healthy through an entire run. He's not ever been a championship player, so temper your expectations if you think Chris Paul is going to take your team to the promised land. Curious of your thoughts? Leave them down there in the comments below. And while you're down there, check out a special offer from our friends at Fantasy Alarm.
Time now for the Daily Pack Rip on the 5-Pack with Kyle Elfrink.
Welcome to be back in on this Monday. We took most of last week off, so I could have a little R&R, but now we're back into the swing of things. Every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1 o'clock Eastern, right here on BSN. We'll get you set with the things that you need to know, things that you're going to know, and pack rips. Oh, yeah, pack rips. 1990 Fleer Baseball is what we're opening up today. We've done a pretty good amount of Fleer Baseball over the last 2 or 3 months because these cards just grow on trees for the most part. One thing we do enjoy about Fleer Baseball, at least I enjoy it, is we always get a sticker. Here's a good one. The old White Sox emblem. I like that. But we also get trivia. So let's do a little baseball quiz, shall we? Let's see. In what year was the first game played at Comiskey Park? Good God, I don't know. Let's go with first year. 1910. Sound good? 1910 for the old Comiskey. True or false? The White Sox played in the first official American League game. I'll say that's true. How many world championships have the White Sox won? Well, this came out in 1990. It'd been a long, long spell without a title in Chicago. I'm going to say 1, maybe 2. Let's go 2. Let's go 2 titles. True or false? The White Sox were the last team to open the season with a scheduled doubleheader. Let's go with true there. So how do we do? 1910. Did I say 1910? I think I did. Wow. True. The White Sox played the first ever official American League game against Cleveland in 1901. 2 world titles. I got that right. And then true that they were the last team to open with a scheduled doubleheader. So I was 4 for 4. Did I actually nail the year on Comiskey Park? I think I did. Didn't I say 1910? I did not look. I swear, but there's the answer. See, it's upside down. I couldn't look. So there you go. Like this sticker. I'm going to have to start saving these stickers we've been getting. They're pretty good. Okay, let's get to the matter at hand. Let's get this pack rip going. Let's start with the ever-exciting Jeff Ballard. Sorry, not exciting. Jeff Ballard. I don't know what it is. I kind of like this Orioles combo. Dark gray, dark black, black hats, black gloves. That looks good. Looks sharp. I appreciate it. Here is Jim Eisenreich, who was a pretty good outfielder for the Kansas City Royals. As you can see, left-handed swinger. Had some very good years. He did not play baseball at all in 85-86. He made his MLB debut in 82. Played with Minnesota. He had some medical issues and then had to come back, and he played with Kansas City and was pretty decent with the Royals. Not a great player, but a decent player nonetheless. Here's a guy who was a good player with the Royals, and then he parlayed that into a big, big deal with the New York Yankees. And this came at the time when the Kansas City Royals were seen as like the farm system for the Yankees. He signed a big contract with the Yankees. Didn't do all that much, though. Danny Tartabull. And when he said he was the baby bull, I think that was his nickname. Or maybe it was just Bull, Danny Tartabull. But he signed a big contract with New York. This is 3 years into his career in 1990. And he's off to a good start. I mean, his first year with the Royals, which was actually his second major league season, started with the Mariners in 86, then came over to the Royals in 87. In 87, Danny Tartabull hit 309, 34 home runs, and 101 ribbies. So he was a run producer. He was kind of Kansas City's version of Joe Carter at that point. Tim Wallach, third baseman. His son, I think, still plays for the Miami Marlins, Chad Wallach. This is Tim Wallach, who was a good third baseman, very solid. If you talk to a Montreal Expos fan, you know, we may know the names like certainly Tim Raines or Marquise Grissom, Rondell White, Gary Carter. Tim Wallach was a very good third baseman, probably one of the top 2 or 3 third basemen in Expos history, pretty well throughout the 80s. He was the guy there. We've come across this guy before, Davey Martinez, manager of the Washington Nationals. Can't get away from him. He's been with the Expos and the Cubs, left-handed hitter. Here's another guy. We've gotten a lot of him. David, my God, the next two cards. We've gotten a lot of Davey Martinez in our last 2 months. We've gotten plenty of David Cone, who was a very good pitcher, of course, for the Mets. And then we've also gotten a lot of Kevin McReynolds for some reason. And we just got back-to-back Mets after getting back-to-back Royals and back-to-back Expos. Again, the 90s strike. That's how they did it, man. Things were not random when you open your cards. 2 Expos, 2 Royals, 2 Mets back-to-back. That's how it goes, man. 2 Expos, 2 Mets, 2 Expos, 2. I am not kidding here. But can we all just relive how this pack has gone? Let's just relive this. Gonna do it all. Tim Wallach, Davey Martinez, couple of Expos. David Cone, Kevin McReynolds, couple of Mets. The Big Cat, Andres Galarraga, Expo. Mark Langston, Expo. Now does LA Angels radio broadcast, but an Expo. Let's go back to the Mets. Hojo, 30-30 back in, was that 87? Let's see, 87. He had 36 homers and 32 steals. Hojo. Anybody down for another Met? Sid Fernandez. Okay, too many Mets. Let's go back to the Expos. Kevin Gross. Denny Martinez, El Presidente. Always. Does he have it there? Chewing tobacco. He loved his chewing tobacco. And then we'll close it down with Kevin Elster of the Mets and Juan Samuel of the Mets. More known for the Phillies, but here he is with the Mets. So let's add it all up, shall we? We've got, I picked up a quarter of the Mets at the time, 24-man roster. I got 6 Mets. How many Expos did I get here? Oh, I only got 6 Expos. So let me, this is how it was collecting cards back in the day. Back in 1990, you get excited, you save your money, say, I'm going to put together an entire 1990 Fleer baseball set. And then you spent your money and you like wiped out 6 Mets, who you probably already got all them, and you got 6 Expos. And you were like, this is an entire Mets Expos pack. Out of the 15 cards in this here pack, I had 4 teams represented. Let's not forget the 2 Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. An alien would be mistaken to think there were only 3 or 4 teams in baseball at the time. At least we got good players. Like Denny Martinez, legit. Dennis Martinez, a good one. Mark Langston was really strong. And again, anybody who's an Expos fan, that franchise just kicked butt at drafting and developing. They were so good at it. And they never had a World Series title. There weren't a lot of playoff berths, but man, they were so good at developing the talent. I mean, Andres Galarraga goes to Colorado, becomes like an MVP hitter. You know, you got Mark Langston. I remember Mark Langston, it was about this point in the season, let's see, in his career. Yeah, he was a Mariner, and he was a big-time acquisition by the Expos at the trading deadline. Think about that. Montreal, who a lot of people think, they're a bunch of nobodies, had no money. Trade deadline acquisition. They went out and got Mark Langston. Didn't work, but they went and tried. Anyway, Mets and Expos today. I apologize. Got some good ones, though. Like I said, David Cone. Juan Samuel had a very good career, too. Most of it with the Phillies, but good stuff there. Okay, that'll do it for today's pack. We'll do another one tomorrow. We'll do another 5-pack tomorrow. Kyle Elfrink, producer Heather Klein. We'll catch up on Tuesday at 12 o'clock Eastern on BSN.